I invite you to think about what you were doing in 1993. What's interesting is that I was at a call center. Some of you may not have been born at that time. Others like myself, I was working in Silicon Valley, and I was a call center agent. I was really good at what I was doing. And in time, one of the managers said, you know, you should actually teach your colleagues because you are the subject matter expert, which is what some of us have gone through to get into the field of trading. I said, okay, fine. So of course I thought, well, if I can speak in front of a group of people, I'm sure I can teach them whatever it is that I would be teaching them if they were side by side with me at a call center. So I started going into this anxiety as I was about to start my first day. It was a one-day class, but it was, again, in Silicon Valley, we were doing our product was on workflows. So it was a tiny company called ViewStar that ended up becoming the workflow product for PeopleSoft that is now part of Oracle's One World program. So this was the workflow product. So I was trying to learn it as much as I can, and I go into this classroom. Now I'm tense, and now I'm a little afraid because a couple of days before, the World Wide Web was launched by CERN, and Mosaic was now the browser of choice. And the Pentium processor came out by Intel. So this is Silicon Valley, and everybody was all into the whole technology. We're going to make lots of money. We'll be millionaires. Teach me everything that you know because you're in the technology world, and you better make sure that I know everything so that I can become the next Steve Jobs. So the pressure was so much that I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? I have to be ready for this class. So of all the little tips and tricks that I learned from speaking with seasoned facilitators prior to me, they said, all of them just kind of went away, and I was blank. I was trying to go through the learning content. Of course, I have a cheat sheet. You know, very cool. And then a question comes up, and suddenly I have no clue how to answer it. So I froze, and I was like this. I don't know what to do. Then I realized there was one tip that I needed to, that came up, and I said, oh, I can use this. Parking lot. I'm going to put questions to the parking lot, and by the time we go on break, I run to my colleagues and say, how do you answer all of these questions? Because I don't know. No, all of it, really, no, answer me now. And then come back and then check, look, I'm answering your question. I am so good. So I tried that, right? And I kept on doing it. By the end of the day, I felt really good about myself because I was answering questions only to realize I have 7 pages of parking lot that were unanswered. That I actually had to email them using Lotus Notes 1.0 to actually send the response back to these people. So definitely my smile sheets were going to be horrible. They were all 1s, not 5s. Like, oh my God, I have no credibility. So my manager at that time said, it's okay. This is your first time, considering I was a child at that point. And it said, try it again next week because, you know, you're going to be doing this for a couple of weeks. So second week comes around. I tried it again. But before that, I prepared much more conscientiously this time. I called my mom. Said, Mom, I need your help. She's been in the learning field for 40 years. So I said, you must learn. You must know a thing or two about this. So why not teach me some stuff? She said, well, why don't you use this particular trick when a difficult question comes up? So I said, okay, fine, I will try that. So comes to class, parking lot, and I said, okay, I'm on page 2 in parking lot, I have to use this next trick. So the next trick was ask, it's called redirect or boomerang. Ask the rest of the class. So I said, well, what do you think? This question is a little difficult, but maybe you have an answer. And it seems to work. So now I have 2 tricks. I have my parking lot trick and my redirect trick. So I keep on balancing parking lot, redirect, parking lot, redirect. By the end of the day, I had 5 pages of parking lot questions, not 7. So my boss said, you know what, that's actually quite good. You're progressing, slowly progressing. So maybe I should sit in your class next week to actually get some understanding of how you're actually teaching. I'm like, oh great, now more pressure. So of course I prepare again, I go into class, and then she nods. Sometimes she does a frowny face. And now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with a question that I have no clue of? And I have 3 pages of parking lot, and I've redirected everything that I can think of. And she's nodding, so I'm thinking, why not ask her? So I did. And then she answered, because now it's just like, oh look, my ego is being stroked, so why not answer? So I now have 3 tricks. I have parking lot, I have the redirect, and I have the smart person in class. So I started doing this, balance. I had 3 pages of parking lot questions at the end of that week, and I'm like, hey, I'm getting better. So she said, okay, next week, 4th week, it's your off week. You want to make sure that you actually go to the other departments to learn about what these questions are. You have 2 weeks worth of, 3 weeks worth of questions. You kind of need to know how to respond to them. Like, okay, ma'am, thank you. I will do that. So I go to my day, the whole week, trying to learn as much as I can about what the product can do in the bigger picture. Friday of the 4th week, I get a phone call. She said, you know, John, the guy who was supposed to go to New York to teach the class, he is deadly sick. He cannot be in that class on Monday morning. Tuesday morning, sorry. So you better go on Monday to teach the class in New York. And of course my hand should go, of course New York, why not? It's a free trip, hello, shopping. Why wouldn't I go? It was my first time, and I'm like, hey, I would love to do this. So I was eager, but then along the way, halfway through the day of that Friday, people were saying, you know, the New York clients, kind of paying. Because they will expect everything to be done yesterday, and they would expect that you really know everything. So you better make sure that you prepare like yours tomorrow. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to prepare. I called my mom again, and I tried to do, and she called me, and then she said, well, you know, there might be other tricks that you can think of, and gave me another idea. So I go to my class. Before I got to my class, I arrived in New York City. I checked into my hotel. I had a little bit of time, so I thought, well, okay, well, let me do my little shopping, go to watch TV at night, and just kind of relax and just don't think about what's going to happen tomorrow. I've seen 3 sets of people. I should be okay. So I watched TV. So it was the first time The Late Show with David Letterman actually came out, 1993. And the guest star was Madonna. Woo! So that was her girly show. So she was talking about how she was recording in Dusseldorf, in Tokyo, in Japan, all the little live recordings, so that she'll come up with a CD that has all of those recordings. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Nothing actually came, connected with me. I was just watching and getting entertained. So the next day, I go to class, I do my little spiel, do my little tap dancing, as I've now called it. I'm like, okay, well, I have my parking lot, I have a way to redirect, so I'm good. But then I realized I don't have my boss there. I don't have a smart person to actually go to. And these are clients who are expecting an answer. So I thought, one question that came up that I'll never forget, and I will let you know what that is. The guy said, so remember we have this workflow product that's based in a US server. Now we're a big company. We have an office in Japan. We have an office in Germany. We have an office in Canada. Now, how are we going to be able to talk to each other, because they're all coming in different currencies and nothing is going on properly with our system? How are you going to answer that? So I'm now at a loss. I have no clue. It's a question that's beyond what my content prepared me for, and the little conversations that I had with everybody. And then I thought of David Letterman. And I thought, what did Madonna say last night? So Madonna said that she's trying to create one CD, and she's recording in every location that she's at. And I thought, wouldn't that be a great analogy for what this question was? So I asked, so have you seen David Letterman last night? So everybody said, yeah, we love it. It's great. It's a good show. And there's this Madonna character who was there. It was wonderful. I'm like, so remember what she said about creating the CD? And then they said, yeah, okay, so what? Nothing to do with my question. I said, actually there is. Because if you connect all of these currencies around different countries, and then put them all in a US server and do the conversion at the US server, they will all look like US workflows. And then they will actually talk to each other, much like what Madonna was doing by actually creating a CD. And then they're like, oh yeah, I love it. And then suddenly the conversation was on David Letterman, but that's another story. But what's interesting was that I learned 4 things that night. I realized that when I'm panicking and there are questions that I have no clue of, I can use my parking lot. Everybody does that. But then I can only go so far because my credibility will go down very quickly. And then I can actually do a redirect or boomerang, depending which part of the world you're at. And I can keep on doing that, but again, credibility goes away after that. But then I can also use the smart people in the audience and probably get them to speak up and get them to be much more engaged because now we're stroking their ego. And then the 4th one is local news, local knowledge, local information. And so every single time I go to new cities after that, I kept on watching TV. And I would say, it's for research, really, it's for research. Because I need to know what's going on here. So I kept on doing that, and fast forward a year later, I get an award. Which is interesting. I get an award for a boss saying, you're the best facilitator for the company, here's an award, congratulations. And I said, this is amazing, considering that it started from, well, nothing. Thank you.